G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Bonsai Works. Sorry for the lack of videos lately. I've been on a break from doing bonsai and having a break over Christmas and New Year, and I'm back into it now. So today I'll start back again with some more beginner kind of level trees and what you do with young material, or material that's quite challenging. This is a shimpaku juniper, and you can see doesn't have much positive about it. There's not many positives about this tree, apart from it's a shimpaku, and there's a nice little base here. That's pretty much it. The rest is, you'll notice there's no branching at all on these branches, pretty low down. There's 4 of them in all different directions. I'm not sure what we can do, but every tree has a potential, I guess. And I've seen many of these kind of trees come into the club for workshops and so on. But what do we do with them? How do we now start creating something interesting? For beginners, it's all about wiring and being creative. Wiring this tree up and then bending it and twisting it into shape, and try and be creative and think of something outside the box, outside the square. These long branches, how do we use them and compact them in? I don't want to cut them off. You can't do a normal style, traditional, typical, formal or informal upright with these. It's not going to work. You need to be creative and create something twisted, interesting, compact, and a tree about this small. Yep, tree about this small. That's my aim. So we'll see what we come up with. So first things first, I really need to wire this tree. Now, you'd be surprised to know that I will wire all of them, all the branches. The reason is I will have sacrifice branches, or branches that I will eventually turn into gins for this tree, because having a straight gin on a twisted tree doesn't make sense, but having a really twisted gin on a twisted tree makes sense. So I'm not going to go and leave this straight and cut it off later in its life and it'd be a straight gin. I want it to be I want to bend it up, twist it up, and then eventually gin that off, and it'll be nice, twisted, interesting gin to match the rest of the tree. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get started. I'll be wiring this tree, and I'll pretty much, the key with this is I'll pretty much use same thickness as the trunk for the wire diameter, and I'll be using aluminium because it's much more flexible, and I can put all these different twists and so on and so forth into it, whereas copper I can't really do that work. Also, I make really compact, tight wire bindings around it, so I keep the coils quite close. It almost acts like raffia, so I don't have to use raffia on these trees, and I'll pretty much just keep it nice and close, and we'll see what it comes up with. So I'm going to go away and wire this tree, and we'll see how it goes. So the way I go about wiring is I get my wire, it's already coiled up. Now I don't measure and cut off in this instance, because it's a little bit tricky when you're really putting nice tight coils on. You don't want to run out of wire towards the end especially. So I usually use the whole roll, hold it in my hand and start wiring the tree. Now, just to give you an idea, now either you can put the wire into the ground and wire up and start wiring this branch out, or because I'm not going to bend this lower half at all, it's not going to move, it's much too tight, much too heavy, I'm going to anchor these two wires, these two branches together, and start doing the work. So that will help. They'll anchor each other off, and there's be a pinch point, which is fine, and I could just wire the tree that way. So that's the plan. So usually I just try and, at least the trick is try and have enough wire to be able to go all the way up. Now, not too worried about the end bit, that's very flexible, so that's going to be soft, but I can probably have to go at least more than 1/3 of the length of the tree. I'm not going to really go past there anyway, that's just really soft. So maybe about that much or so, a bit more. So I kind of roughly measure out that much, right? Because I'm going to be nice and close. That should be plenty to wire this, at least up to there. Okay, and then this side I just leave it alone and I'll wire this branch later. So that's how I start doing that. So it's pretty much just kick it off. Now, because I want to make it, if I put the wire over this point, I don't think it'll be tight enough, so I'm going to go underneath. It'll make a more firmer grip on the tree, and I just start the process. I usually use my other hand. I just want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing, so I'm using this side. So I just start it off. The key is getting the first one right, and then working the rest up. So usually I just do a couple of little quick coils. They're nice and close, nice and tight. And then I'll put this one on just to try and anchor it. And this is the way I look pretty like I'm pretty, manhandling the tree, as they call it. But it's just got to be nice and tight and firm, especially at the start. And use the whole coil to go around. It's much easier. So the key is the start. So once you have the start right, the rest is just time and just working the wire around. So you can see that with aluminium you can always adjust, so that's too far, so I'm just going back, make it nice and close. Okay, so I've just started the process in here, and now I'll just finish off with this branch. And that's how I do it. I've got to turn the tree around to me so I can see better when I wire. And I like using my right hand to wire and my left hand to support. Alright, so you've seen how I've wired the tree. Pretty straightforward once you get practiced and doing quite a bit of wiring. The one thing I forgot to say is make sure you have an established tree that's been in the pot for quite some time. Anything that's recently repotted isn't good to do this work. You need something that's been there for a couple of years at least and fill the pot. Okay, so wire the tree. Well, the wire comes up to about here on this one, about there on that one, which is what I wanted, and I wired the two smaller ones. So now it's a matter of me being this is not something I can teach. It's not something you can see. It's your imagination, your visibility, and how you want to see this tree come about and what kind of ideas you want. I still have no idea what I want to achieve, but I know I want to achieve a smaller tree that's twisted, and then I'll let that tree grow on for many years. I like the bend of the tree. The bend of the base is this way, so I want maybe the tree to flow in this direction. So maybe this will come sort of be an apex, and this could be a little semi-cascade side. So let's work with that idea in mind. So let me try and work on let me try and do the trunk. Now I'll work with the direction that I wired the tree. So I wired the tree this way, so that means I'm going to bring it around this way. So let me try to say that again. I've wired the tree this way, so I'm going to bend the tree this way. It makes sense, right? So bend the same way you wired. So first thing, I always try and go backwards as much as I can, because that reduces the length of the branch. So get backwards as much as I can. Start bringing it around. So we might have to use guide wires, and I'll show you what that is about if you don't know what they are. So already being able to get a lot of nice movement in this tree. Now it'd be great if you had another pair of hands who holds the pot, but when you're on your own, it's a little bit tricky. So you just got to be very careful. Always look for cracking on the tree. I'm not worried about the foliage down here just yet. I mean, eventually this tree will put out lots of foliage and you'll have lots of things to choose from, but it's all about the movement in the trunk we want to achieve. And once I've gone in that direction, I don't want to all the way go through, so I'm going to come back and put some more interest in the tree. So I'll try and go back the other direction. Now I've just wired the one branch and I've gone backwards, around, and then gone across and back the other way, having this branch going down. Now eventually that could have a tree just that small. Can you probably see that? It's got some nice branches. It's got this nice side branch here. It's got a couple of nice back branches. It's got this long branch. This is really important when you're doing this kind of work. You don't want to damage this long extended part. This is what keeps growing and fattening this. The branch fattens up and it holds the position that you've just wired the tree in. So really important not to cut anything off at this stage. If you do, then you're just going to slow the process down. If you leave everything on, then it will actually achieve a much quicker result much faster. So there's just the first branch done. Let me have a quick look, make sure I've got enough movement in it. I'm reasonably happy with that. So that's the first one. Now, I want to try and get this into some sort of cascade. It might work, might not work, but we'll try it anyway. So remember, go backwards, try and reduce the length of the branch. I'm just going to have to move him out of the way for now. And as I mentioned, because I've coiled the wire so tight, it acts like raffia, and it helps not split the trunk and break branches and so on. Use your pliers. If you need, it's hard to bend, you can use your pliers just to bend the wire as well. That's quite easy, a nice technique to do. Now, by really coiling it in, it almost, you can almost hide the big bends you've just put in. So I've coiled all these branches in, so creating more foliage in this area so that you can pad out the area over time. Now, it looks already pretty good. Like, it looks nice little, you can see the semi-cascade happening. There's the apex. Remember, leaving these to grow. And imagine you can actually cut all these off, and there's your little semi-cascade. Pretty easy, pretty cute. Just by simply 2 branches bending and twisting it up. But I do have these long guys left as well. Now, I want to use them in the design somehow, some way. You've got to be almost, I'm trying to be imaginative, imagining where I'd like some gin to come out, where I'd like some, so on and so forth, gin and shari. So there's this back one here that I might want to actually eventually have as another maybe trunk in here that's been twisted up over time. So here I'm a bit more, I guess, rough, not rough, but I'm not too fussed in how the branch is going to look, but I am going to try and put lots of bends and twists in it so that it really creates something interesting when it fattens up, and then I can gin it off. So again, this is the key. Make sure the tip is alive and healthy and you haven't cut it off. So I'm just going to have it coming out into this direction, and hopefully it makes a nice twisted up gin. If not, we just cut it off. Or we can air layer it. my favorite topic. My favorite thing to do is shimpakus. The other thing is, I can definitely air layer it off. Now so I'll just show you the update. So again, nice little semi-cascade, and there's a branch in here that will be ginned off. Okay. Now, this low one, this is a low one down here, it's quite decent size. So if it's going to be, remember, if semi-cascade is usually short on this side and long on this side. So I think having something, this one could be a branch that's died off and on this side of the tree, and that's why this side of the tree is alive. So I'm going to put it out in here somewhere and be a nice thick one as well. That will be nice and twisted up too. Almost like another trunk that's just died off. Now, it does look messy. I'm not kidding you here. You're not going to have like a finished tree in these instances, but in 5 years' time, this tree could be spectacular. Could. Where's that word? Could. Well, maybe I should say should be spectacular. All right, the tree looks an absolute mess right now, but because there's two branches here. They're sacrifice branches that I'll gin, but at least you saw the little semi-cascade, new apex, new cascade. Leave the tips so it can grow, and off you go. That's how something that was quite terrible, 4 long branches, now has been compacted into something that's going to be a great little mini bonsai. You know, barely that big in our hands. That's pretty much it in a few years' time, really. That's what it takes. Aftercare is pretty much just, I didn't cut, did you see me cut any branches off? No. So in a way, it's still got all its energy and strength in the foliage. It'll keep photosynthesizing with the sun. It's summer here now, so we'll just keep growing without any hindrance at all. Grow into that shape over time. Feed as normal, water as normal, put it in the same spot that you found it in the garden. That's how simple that is. I hope that gives you confidence to do this kind of work to your trees and make them interesting, make them a bit more something to talk about. You know, something that will go, wow, look at those twists and turns and twists and deadwood and blah, blah. That's what you want to see. All right, guys. Any questions? Happy to answer. Glad I'm back. I've got a few big projects I want to do this year on my trees. Some big trees that I want to work on as well. So hopefully that will come up good in videos. But thanks for watching over the 2022, and look forward to a great 2023. See you guys soon.